Getting codes P0053 and P0059, or any other codes related to your sensors? I'm diagnosing O2 sensors. Hola! I'm Mike, the backyard mechanic. As you saw in part 1 of this series, I'm getting the Mustang ready for inspection, but it's throwing codes. It has actually thrown quite a few codes, which is concerning, but for now I'm focused on P0053 and 59. These codes indicate the upstream oxygen sensor heaters have a disturbance in the resistance. In part 1 we learned how they work and how they go bad. In this part we're going to diagnose them and get to the bottom of these codes. I'll be testing the Mustang with this Autel Maxicom MK808Z, which I got from Amazon. Link in the description. I thought it was a good price for the functionality. Mine has the cable. A Bluetooth connection costs another $100. It's hard to say where this one ranks of all the Autel products because there are a lot and they don't make it easy to choose. I ultimately went with the best one in my budget, which explains the cable, which turned out to not be a big deal. I thought I would regret saving $100, but I'm always sitting in my car watching the scanner anyway. One important note before you buy an Autel or any scanner, check their vehicle coverage. I was originally planning on getting an entirely different scanner, but the 2010 Mustang was not well supported. Time to scan the Mustang. Select Diagnostics, the VID button, then Auto Detect. Accept the VIN, confirm the vehicle. Diagnosis, Auto Scan. I have faults in the HVAC, which sucks. This car has had perpetual AC problems, but I'm more concerned right now with the power control module, which controls my sensors. So I have a P0053, P0059, and a P2195 saying the passenger side bank of the Mustang is running lean. I want to see the sensor graph, so I'm going to Live Data and I'm going to select both upstream sensors and click on Graph Merge. The heaters take a minute to warm up, so the initial data is inconsequential. In that first minute, the PCM uses historic data to run the engine. I'm not exactly sure what a perfect graph should look like, but this seems to be within range. I'm going to run another scan with the engine running. This time I'm going to graph the heater current, and it is 400 milliamps, right where it should be. Based on our data, we can go down the list of causes for the P0053 and 59 and hopefully find a solution so the Mustang can pass inspection. Low or excessive fuel pressure. The fuel rail pressure is 40 psi according to the scanner. The car runs well, so I can confidently eliminate this as the cause. A faulty fuel injector. I can rule this out because the problem appeared suddenly and occurs on both sides. If it was one code on one side and the engine ran a little rough, this would be a concern. Excessive exhaust leaks. I can safely rule this out because my exhaust doesn't leak. You know if you have an exhaust leak. Blown fuse for the O2 sensor. I doubt this is the problem, but that's easy enough, so let's check. Some cars have fuses dedicated to the sensors. I had to do some research for the Mustang. The sensors are controlled with number 49, emissions-related powertrain components. But all the fuses in this section are for the PCM, so I may as well test them all. And they all have resistance. The next test is to ensure power is getting to all of these fuses. To do this, pull the fuse, touch a lead to the hot side, and the other lead to a ground. And I'm getting 12 plus volts for all of them. Fuses are good. Vacuum leak on the engine. The next easiest thing to do is to check for vacuum leaks. This is a possibility as it would affect both banks evenly, although doubtful because while it would affect the air-fuel ratio, it would not affect the heaters. The scanner doesn't check vacuum, at least not directly. All you need is a propane torch. If you work on cars, you should have one of these. I bought this for about 15 bucks, maybe 10 years ago. It's still more than half full. To find a leak, turn on the propane full blast, pass it around the engine while it's idling. If you hit a leak, it will suck in the propane and increase the engine RPMs. Before you start, you want a game plan so you don't waste all your propane. Check around the intake manifold gasket and anywhere there's a hose. That's why you need a game plan. Where are the hoses on your car? You have to find them. I have one here, here, here. Oh wait, that's my beer bong. Start the car, turn off the AC so the idle stays consistent, and point the propane at all the vulnerable areas. I've done this test a few times now. There are no leaks. The MAF sensor. If the mass airflow sensor was bad, that would generate its own code, but it might be dirty. The final easy step is to clean the MAF and the throttle body. On the Mustang, after removing the connector, the sensor comes off with a 5mm Torx bit. It feels like a waste of money, but you want to buy the right cleaner for this. It needs to be a no-touch clean of contacts, and it can't leave any residue. So don't go cowboy on me and clean it with turpentine or Goo Gone or Palmolive.
Dishwashing liquid? It's Palmolive.
Buy MAF Sensor Cleaner. Link in the description. While the sensor dries, I'll clean the throttle body. Loosen a couple of hose clamps, pop off this doodad, and the air tube pulls off. The throttle body is not very dirty, but I'll clean it anyway. I'm using the MAF sensor cleaner and a microfiber towel. I removed some dirt, but it was pretty clean. Put the air tube back on the way it came off and replaced the MAF sensor. Did I fix it? Long story short, I started it up, ran the test again. Problem still there. Faulty or shorted wiring in the oxygen sensor circuit. To test the wiring, I created a test harness out of an old sensor. I cut the connector off and stripped the ends, then connected it to my multimeter with a 6-foot speaker wire. I disconnected the sensor on the car and connected the test lead to the power side. I powered up the car and I get 12 volts. I get the same on the other side. That's about as far as I can go without a tool I need. To test wiring integrity properly, you need a tone generating circuit tester like this one. You connect the tone generator to the wire and you follow the wire with the probe. If there is a break or a short, the signal stops, letting you know where to investigate further. Diagnosis? Things are wonky. Faulty ECU in rare cases. I'm ruling out the ECU. Why? Because it's expensive and I don't want that to be the problem. Faulty O2 sensor. I think I've done my due diligence. Time to replace the sensors. Which I will be doing in part 3. To be continued. To wrap this one up, no, I did not find my sensor problem, but I did run down the process for diagnosing them. I'm left with two potential solutions. It is either the sensors or the ECU. 2 NTK sensors from Amazon is $60. American! A new ECU is a few $1,000s. American! I know the order I'm going to try these fixes. Am I going to make the inspection date? It's getting close, but I still have several days. I'll just pop in the new sensors and I'll be good to go. Right? Oh hey, I have a fan online. Hey fan, did you learn anything about sensors?
Did I learn anything about sensors? Yeah, you're censored.
Thanks, fan. When the next video is ready, it'll show up on this side. And if you missed it, part 1 is on this side. American. Vulnerable, 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 vulnerable. Point the propane at all the vulnerable areas, and point the propane at all the vulnerable areas, and point the propane at all the vulnerable areas, and point the propane at all the weak areas.